everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the evaluation of marine pH for the Wendy Schmidt Ocean Health XPRIZE. And what is this XPRIZE? As we know, the ocean acidification has been a big issue in the whole world. And on this picture, we see the carbon dioxide changing range and the pH changing. But this trend is just an estimated trend based on the dissolved carbon dioxide changing trend. But our ability to check on this trend is not good enough, which I mean we don't have a sensor which not only has a high quality autonomous pH sensor, but it also has a low cost. So this XPRIZE is a competition, and it awards $2 million for scientists who can improve the performance of the reducer and reduce the cost of the pH sensor. And this XPRIZE, this competition was decided to test the sensor's performance in a series of environments: the laboratory trials, coast trials, and the open ocean trials. The laboratory trials, they tested it in a stable. We tested it in a stable regulated system, and in the coast trials, we tested it in a naturally varying condition, which may have some possibility of biofouling. And in the open ocean trials, we focus on its ability of record the pH in the depth from 250 meters to 3,000 meters. And how to grade? And we divided the ocean performance, the pH sensor performance, into 5 measurements: accuracy, stability, repeatability, ease of use, and affordability. And this XPRIZE has two prices: the accuracy price and the affordability price. And they graded in a different way. In the accuracy price, accuracy of course is the most important part, and the affordability price is more cared about the ease of use and affordability. And in different places, we graded the sensor based on these minimum standards. And our phases of the competition. In phase 2, the laboratory trials is divided into 2 phases, and everything was allowed to submit at most 3 sensors in phase 2A. And the sensors were put into a buffer solution, which consists of the trace hydrochloric acid and the seawater of salinity certified. And this word trace is an organic compound, which is used as a component to make a solution buffer, and it was to stable the pH. And we test in 2 different pH level. And after this test, everything was allowed to get the sensor back and receive the result to recalibrate the sensor. The word recalibrate means that adjust your sensor to make your measurements more closer to your real pH. And the phase 2B is long-term test. Every sensors will put into a big tank like this, and the big tank's conditions is gradually increase pH and the salinity for 7 weeks, and the real test conditions were monitored by some expensive sensors, and it has a high accuracy. And in the coast trials, It took place in the Seto Aquarium, and the tanks got water from the Elliott Bay, and the tank's condition was monitored as the bridge to be. And in the open ocean trial, all the sensors were fixed on the hydrocast like this, and the sensors were put into the deep water up to 3,000 meters, and it will collect 15 depths of seawater. And in the assessment, before we assess our sensors, we need to estimate the validation of pH and the acidity. Then we list 5 factors that will cause the uncertainty in every phrase, and we finally sum up the uncertainty 0.011, and then to grade our sensors measurements. And in the first way, look on this picture. The x-axis is tints, and the y-axis is the residuals of pH between the validation and the sensors. And the colors and the shape represent the different tints and their different sensors. And the dashed line and the dot line is the minimum standards, which is mentioned in the scoring table, which is just mentioned. And the gray area is the uncertainty of the validation. And we can see 9 of the 17 tints measuring pH within the 0.02 pH accuracy threshold, and the 2 measuring within the 0.04 pH units of the pH threshold. And in the fresh 2B, you see the picture on the left. The x-axis is the sensor and the validation. Y-axis is the residuals of the pH. And the gray dots is the validation measurement of each sensor. And the white dot is their standard deviation. And the picture on the right, the x-axis is the sensors. Y-axis is the pH interdecile range. And the decile range is the distance between the 10th and the 9th percentile measurement. And on these 2 pictures, we can see over half of the teams had a good performance in this test in a stable, regulated conditions. And in phase 3, the SY-axis are the same as the last phase, and we can see additional source of variance for nature conditions obviously affect the performance of sensors. And in the phase 4, the x-axis is sensors, y-axis is the residuals of pH between the validations and the sensors. And we can see all the sensors accuracy decrease with the increasing of the pressure. See this color on this dot. So in the discussion, the competition demonstrate how sensor accuracy, repeatability, and stability can be evaluated in the different conditions, and the sense that it's also shown the ability of sensor to collect high quality pH measurements under a range of this condition. And we think this XPRIZE is not just a competition, but also an encouragement for the technological development of the pH sensor to deal with the scientific issue in the future. And this is my presentation. Thank you.
Right. So 18 seconds short. Okay, now QA. Angelica. Edgar. Olga. Jackie. Sylvia. Okay.
How can you get the real pH?
Real pH.
Because you need to calculate the accuracy of
Okay.
the
And
Repeat the question.
you say how do we know the real pH of these conditions? And we 那个 we monitor the real pH with some sensors which is on the market that we can know these sensors has high accuracy in the first two and the first three. As in the first four, we got water from a bottle and analyze this water and to know their consistency.
Next. Edgar.
Could you explain phase 4 picture again?
Explain what?
Phase 4 picture.
Phase 4 picture. 这个吧 like this.
Phase 4.
Phase 4.
Phase
Phase 4.
4.
This one.
This one.
Does it mean the more depth of the sea, the more accuracy?
Yes.
Why?
And the depth of the water will cause some unknown uncertainty that this paper does not mention, and that will make the sensor ability to check on this pH not in a good accuracy.
We move on. Okay. Forgot.
Why they chose the full phase test?
Why they choose the full phase 2 test? And they think in the phase 2 and phase 3, we can see they test the sensor in a general condition in the like the area base and in the laboratory. But if we want to make a good pH sensor, you need your pH sensor in every condition, and you can keep its accuracy. So they choose the deep water condition and let the sensor down to deep water and to measure the pH to measure the pH, and their reading is to let the pH sensor really use in the real life application.
Jackie.
How do we know that what influences the pH the most?
Repeat this question.
You ask that how do we know what influences the pH most? And on this picture and the paper mentioned they list the 5 factors that will influence the pH, and they calculated the uncertainty, but they didn't mention how do they estimate this value.
Sylvia. Repeat.
Is this paper useful in our future? Sensor useful in our future. The competition, and we hold this competition and get the sensors from the world, and they want to get. It is an encouragement for scientists to make a sensor better, and also decrease its cost. So this pH sensor will use in everyone because it has a low cost, and every lab can use this sensor because it has a good accuracy and a low cost.
Volunteer questions. Any? No? Okay. So of course you have to realize that this is a chemistry paper. So most of the students here, or most students find chemistry and physics more difficult than biology. So which means you have to do, if you want yourself to be understood by everybody, then you have to explain all difficult words. Okay? So, and which means I think there's some space for improvement. But first of all, I have to acknowledge that your English is fluent in speaking, and you introduce the figures in most cases well, but not all. Okay. But first of all, I have to say some parts, the first parts. The first part of this presentation, maybe until here, is a little bit wordy, too many text, too many. Yeah. So you have to reduce your text, and you try to look for images by Google to make your presentation more interesting. Otherwise, everybody look at the text, and especially things like this, they always say, "Oh, what's that? I don't want to read." And furthermore, you always need to keep in mind, if you need to check some specific terms when you were reading, then that might be the term you need to explain more. For example, I don't remember where. At some point, you talk about two terms. Biofouling. What is biofouling? He doesn't know. So you need to explain. Biofouling. You can find, when you input biofouling in Google image, you can find a lot of images to tell you what is biofouling. This is a keyword in this paper. Affordability. What is affordability? Sorry? You're not sure. What's your guess? What does afford mean? Yeah, you can have enough money to buy it. That means affordability. You have to explain these terms. Okay. And so there are some difficult terms, and one thing that's related to the question of Angelica is she asks you about how you validate the data from the sensors, and you were explaining a lot. But in my in my view, I don't think you are to the point. You are not to the point. So, are you from Wayland's lab?
Yes.
Yeah. So you are supposed to know how you validate the data, because that's what his lab can do. Okay. So next time you have to explain as well how the scientists in this paper, how they validate the sensor data. Okay. And then in terms of format, I think at the very beginning of this class, I already warned you that this is not acceptable. Why? It's not only too complex. I said many times, you should not just copy and paste a table from the paper, which means you did not digest the information. 你没有自己没有吸收那个内容，然后你就把它讲出来。That would be how you present the table. If you have known what's the key point in the table, you will find a way to simplify the table. Maybe reduce to the number, text, etc., etc. There are too many information here, so we don't know what's your key point. And the same for there's another one here. So these are not acceptable. Okay. And then next time, if I were you, I would definitely stand up on the stage, because that's a way to show, that's something you need to keep in mind. If I'm a professor talking to my pupils, I can do it like this, or this, whatever. But today you are not a professor. You are not senior than all the others. So you need to show your respect to the audience, and so you have to stand up. Okay. And then another thing related to the organization or the structure of the talk is you, at the beginning, you talk about several phases, like a phase 2, although I don't know where's phase 1. Is there phase 1? Maybe you should tell us if it's not important, because that's everybody's question, I guess. Okay, so you have the phase 2A, 2B, 3, 4, and then you introduce them at the beginning, and then later you introduce the data. Maybe next time it would be great if you tell us the data, right? Because you are presenting in the order of the paper, according to the content of the paper. But in your presentation, your talk, you can sort of like reorganize a little bit so that your data come right after you introduce the phase. Especially like this, I would say, if I were you, I would make this maybe this big, so everybody can see what's that, because it's a dark photo. Okay. Okay. So overall, I think you will agree that it's a challenging talk because it's chemistry, but I'm sure that next time you will be able to do better. Okay. So thank you, Benson.